Support WrestleTalk!
Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk Reactive News. I am Randy Andy Datson and this
is Tempest.
What's that, Tempest?
It's the Jam That Championship, Andy.
Oh man, I'm so jealous. Do you know who also might be jealous of his partner, or at least angry with him? It is Santana or Ortiz are apparently not on particularly good terms. So this originally came a few weeks ago from Sean Ross Sapp on a review show he was doing where he pretty much speculated that perhaps there was something going on not very nicely between Santana and Ortiz. They have been standing apart. There have been some tweets in the sort of last few months from Santana in particular that have suggested that maybe they aren't really the best of friends at the moment.
There's been a lot of speculation because there haven't been any tag team matches with these two guys as a straight up 2-on-2 tag since like February, and Santana has started taking indie bookings as a single. They're not standing next to each other in the lineup of whatever faction they're part of at any given time anymore. It doesn't seem like they're on good terms, and now we've unfortunately had that confirmed.
It was confirmed on the Keeping It 100 podcast with Conan, who pretty much, when he was asked, said, yes, they are not on good terms. Now, which is really, really sad to see because they came into AEW with so much promise.
They came in with so much promise and so much potential for great storylines, and it always felt like they were playing second fiddle. They were always the ones who would face Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. They faced the Young Bucks. They didn't get the big moment for Santana and Ortiz after their debut at All Out. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we're going to get that moment, even though there was still a lot left on the table for them with potential matches with other teams.
Now, the first sort of speculation of this came in April when Santana tweeted 126 days, which counts down to September the 1st. And 3 years ago on August the 31st, the day before September the 1st, was All Out 2019, which is when Santana and Ortiz originally debuted for AEW. So you would assume that both of their contracts do expire on August the 31st because AEW generally gives its talent 3-year contracts.
That's correct. And it does seem like Santana is at least alluding to the possibility that he will be leaving the company or something. There's something going on September the 1st, and if you have to look at the most likely scenario, it's possibly just going to be that he will be leaving the company, which is very disappointing given how much talent he and Ortiz have.
Do you have high hopes for them as single stars? I mean, Ortiz staying in AEW, Santana may go to WWE, probably not. I don't think he'd be someone particularly on their radar immediately, unless they do just want to sign every single person who used to fight for AEW, or do you think he could more likely head back to an Impact where he has wrestled before, of course?
It's really hard. At this point, it's all speculation, but I know from experience watching him live, Santana is an excellent singles wrestler. I watched him wrestle Speedball Mike Bailey at a Warrior Wrestling event earlier this year, and he was absolutely phenomenal. It wasn't the match I was most looking forward to seeing on the show going in, but it was my favorite match coming out of it. But in the case of Ortiz, I'm not quite so certain just because I haven't seen him in that singles role to this point. He's had matches here and there in AEW for sure, but it's untested waters. It's untested waters for both of them. I don't know whether AEW would like to keep one or the other or both, or what the situation is there. We don't know what the situation is from AEW standpoint, and that could change the entire direction of both of them. If Santana gets offered a massive contract to be a singles guy, I'm sure that would change his mind, or maybe not change his mind, but at least give him more to think about. So there's tons of possibilities for both guys as singles, as just stars anywhere they want to go right now. But until we know more, it's just going to be speculation.
And Tempest, you are our resident wrestling dweeb. Sorry, not dweeb. I mean, historian, mastermind. What would you say, sort of, in the past 3 years and being in AEW, have been the biggest missed opportunities for you? Or has it been one long, big missed opportunity?
I feel like it's the latter, in just that we never got a big moment for Santana and Ortiz after their debut. I mean, yeah, they were able to have cool moments in like Stadium Stampede and matches like that, but we never got them as AEW Tag Team Champions. We never got a big match between them and the Lucha Brothers, and really, that is the biggest example to me of wasted potential, and I don't know why we didn't get that match. The only reason I can kind of think of is just sticking that match in your back back pocket thinking you'll always be able to go to it, and all of a sudden now, because circumstances have changed, they ran out of time and are no longer able to do that. But I always thought, watching them in the Inner Circle and then watching them feud with the Jericho Appreciation Society, that they should have been the focus at some point of that group. At some point, they should have been given the chance to be AEW Tag Team Champions and have the group be focused around them for a little while, but they always played second or third or fourth fiddle to Chris Jericho. Sure, he's the leader of the group, but we never got their moment. And at this point, we've waited so long that we've missed that shot, it seems like, unless things change.
And is this, I would say, almost symptomatic of a wider problem within AEW where, because they have so much long-term storytelling, that sometimes it's almost too long. Like, you can go, oh yeah, we will absolutely do this at some point. We don't know when. We know we're going to do it, but we don't know when. And unfortunately, maybe some wrestlers have unlimited patience with this kind of thing. They'll go, oh, well, I've been promised that this is going to happen. But perhaps Santana Ortiz just aren't like that, and fair enough. I mean, everyone's different. I mean, if I was promised something every year for 3 years and then it never happened, I'm not saying they were promised, this is absolute speculation on my part, but maybe getting promised something all the time and it never actually happening is just a bit too much for some people.
Well, even if it wasn't promised outright, I think everybody, after watching their debut at All Out 2019, attacking the Lucha Brothers, would just sort of figure that that would be the logical direction. And considering that the Lucha Brothers were in the finals to become the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions, it's really hard not to look back at that, and granted, hindsight's always 20/20, but why you couldn't have the Lucha Brothers be your first Tag Team Champions and have Santana and Ortiz challenge for that, I don't understand. I don't understand how we missed that. And considering that we also then had the Lucha Brothers win those tag team titles later on in their careers, just last year in fact, and we got little teases of this match, like there is no other match more perfectly designed for that team and for that title run than the one that we didn't get. It's very baffling to me, and I think is just an example of having so many big matches that you need to put on pay-per-view that unfortunately, this is one got lost in the shuffle and fell between the cracks, and it's a really big match to fall between the cracks.
Speaking of cracks, and speaking of things that have not gone to plan at all, last night on NXT 2.0, there was one hell of a crack in a skateboard when...
Dear. I was wondering where you would go with that segue. Well done.
Cora Jade really tried her best to turn heel, and when she did turn heel, she absolutely turned heel, but unfortunately that is not what people are talking about, because everyone is talking about the fact that when she tried to turn heel on her tag partner, who she just won the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship with last week, Roxanne Perez, she turned on her and tried to hit her with a skateboard, and that skateboard said nope.
The skateboard turned heel.
The skateboard turned heel. Cora Jade, I think, is probably still a babyface. What she was trying to do was caress her tag partner.
Ah, yes,
and
of
the
course.
skateboard went, no, I want to shatter into 1,000 pieces and give her lots of splinters. I implore everyone, if you have not seen this, go to Twitter, just type in Cora Jade or Roxanne Perez or skateboard, click on videos, you will find a clip of this. Tempest, why don't you give a little explanation of what happened, and then we've got a little treat for you.
Well, this, of course, was very reminiscent of Chris Jericho trying to hit CM Punk with a whiskey bottle, and that whiskey bottle also disintegrating within his hands. Cora Jade goes...
Similar level of star as well.
Yes, of course. Chris Jericho and Cora Jade, naturally. But Cora Jade lifts up her skateboard, and on the upswing, it snaps in half, and half of that skateboard just doesn't go with her. And then perhaps because of the change in weight, she goes to swing that and hit Roxanne Perez with the other half of the skateboard, and she lets go and throws it across the ring. At the same time, her hat falls off, adding to the destruction, and also she then just kind of picks up the skateboard half and tries to whack her with it a few times. They somehow manage to top this Ruby Soho injury angle from last week as the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. For example, I will pretty much show you what happened using these two lovely coasters here. Cora Jade on the upswing with her skateboard. Half of it, in fact more than half of it, falls off. She then has a small piece of skateboard left, goes to hit Roxanne Perez, and that then falls out of her hand. She then panics, picks up a piece of skateboard, and sort of slaps Roxanne Perez several times.
Stop that. Ow.
Sorry, unprotected headshot. I shouldn't be doing that. I think the real question here, I mean, this was first reported that it was being planned for Cora Jade to turn heel a couple of weeks ago in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Dave Meltzer, who is very accurate no matter what people say on Twitter, said, among the things talked about in NXT, whether they happen or not, it remains to be seen, are Ivy Nell and Tatum Paxley as a tag team. We haven't seen that yet, but he also said, and having Cora Jade go heel on Roxanne Perez. Now, when I first read this, I thought, why is that happening? They are two of the biggest babyfaces on the entire roster, in fact, the entirety of WWE, and you're having them turn heel on each other, or one of them turn heel on the other, 1 week after winning the Tag Team Championship. Why?
Make it make sense! Make it make sense. Because it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know why that you would just turn on your tag team partner a week after winning the Tag Team Championship. It's almost like the Women's Tag Team Championship in NXT. Don't matter. They might matter more than the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, considering that it is, like, alive and not on a shelf somewhere, but this one makes no sense to me. I don't know why all of this happened, and I don't know why it was done to ensure Mandy Rose would continue to be the NXT Women's Champion. I don't understand any of that, and I do not care to think about what comes next either, because when you start your story with a tag team winning the tag team championship and they break up the next week, that does not give me very much room for fantasy booking.
No, but what does come next and what does make sense is that you should subscribe to the WrestleTalk YouTube channel. Head over to WrestleTalk podcast channel as well, subscribe to that, subscribe to Parts of Unknown, subscribe to No Rolls Barred, head over to WrestleTalk.com for all the latest wrestling news. Head to patreon.com/WrestleTalk for lots of extra wonderful content. But for now, I have been Randy Annie Datz, and this has been
Tempest.
And that was Reactive News.